What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Living Mad channel, where I talk to you about how I'm living my American dream. So today, I want to talk to you about the concept of the imposter syndrome. This is a term I just learned, I don't know, within the last couple years or so. But although I didn't know the words to describe it, it's something that I've been feeling throughout my life for different reasons, depending on the phase of life that I'm in. Even now, as I'm making these videos and talking about the American dream, I ask myself, who am I to talk about the American dream? Who am I to tell anybody how to live the American dream or what kind of things they should do to be happy? Just who am I to be in this space, right? I mean, my life is far from perfect. There's a lot of things that go on in my life that I wish didn't happen, but I'm still saying that I'm living the American dream, and I'm still trying to tell you all, give you tips on things that maybe you could do to get you closer to that American dream. And a lot of times, as I get ready to make these videos, I get really hesitant. I get nervous. I get anxiety just thinking about, what are people going to say when they see the content of the video, especially people that know me, because I know there's going to be people that see these videos that maybe I've worked with or family members that know me, and I can't help but ask myself, what are they going to think? They know my life. They know what goes on maybe not day in, day out, but they know me pretty well. And are they going to think I'm full of crap? Are they going to think that I don't know what I'm talking about? So it really makes me doubt myself, right? So let me give you a little bit of history, I guess, to how my life has evolved and how I've dealt with imposter syndrome throughout the years. So as some of you may know, I've been in the Marine Corps for coming up on 22 years now. 2 more months will be 22 years. The first 12 years of which I was enlisted. I joined shortly after high school. Didn't go straight to college, joined shortly after high school. I was doing pretty well for myself. Financially, I was saving. I wasn't getting in debt. I wasn't becoming a millionaire or anything, but I was doing well financially. And career-wise, I was doing great. I was getting promoted very fast. I was very successful. I was a drill instructor. I did a lot of things that, in my opinion, were very good things. Got promoted pretty fast and all that stuff. But on the personal side, I often felt like I was failing because I got married very young, got married at 19 years old. I thought I knew what I was doing. In retrospect, maybe I wasn't quite ready. But because of that, I was having a lot of personal issues outside of the Marine Corps, outside of my everyday job that people didn't really see. But because of my role as a leader for other Marines, I was responsible for counseling young Marines, giving them advice about marriage, giving them advice about life, counseling about anything and everything. Any issues that they had, my role as a leader, I needed to talk to them about it. And a lot of times I felt like, who am I, just like I said earlier, right? Who am I to give them advice when I don't even have my own personal life in order? And even though I tried my best to lead a life that others would look to and say, hey, this is someone who's a positive role model, this is somebody that I want to follow, a lot of times I didn't feel like those thoughts were justified. So like I said, I was enlisted for 12 years. I transitioned to the officer side after that, right? And by that point, like I said, I've been in 12 years. I was starting to feel pretty confident of myself. I'd had a lot of successes that, boosted my ego a little bit. But when I made the transition to the officer side, it was almost like hitting the reset button in some ways. I remember getting to the first major training evolution, we call it the basic school, and meeting all these officers who most of them were in their early to mid-20s, very young, very fit, incredibly smart. I remember one of the first questions a lot of officers ask is, what school did you go to? Well, I went to school evenings and weekends at whatever school was nearby. Wherever the Marine Corps sent me, I would figure out what schools are nearby, whether on base, off base, distance learning through the virtual classes that they offered back then. I would just take classes any way that I could. So in my opinion, it wasn't necessarily the best education possible. I wasn't going to a classroom. I wasn't meeting professors. I wasn't having those classroom discussions that I feel are so valuable and so great when you get a regular college experience. But here I am interacting with all these officers who Many of them come from Ivy League schools, and they have these experiences that they gained through college of traveling and studying overseas, and the diversity that they encountered by being at college and all these things. And for the first time, on the professional side of things, I started to feel a little bit intimidated. I started to feel that imposter syndrome that I had felt in my personal life. I was now feeling it in my professional life, because now I'm thinking, who am I to be an officer? Who am I to be put in charge of Marines as an officer? I don't have the education that, a lot of these guys and gals have. I don't have the familial background that a lot of them come from. I just felt like I lacked a lot of the things that seemed at the time were necessary to be an officer. Now, in retrospect, none of that really matters, right? The clothing, a lot of my peers dress, I wouldn't say necessarily very different from me, but it's more common to see, the khakis, the nice shoes, maybe like a polo shirt, something like that. I'm more of a jeans and t-shirt kind of guy. A lot of my peers like to go to breweries. I never really went to breweries before I became an officer. And that's not to say that the enlisted don't do that. It's just not something I was really into or accustomed to. I would go to a local little dive bar somewhere. Golfing. Recently, I got an email from a senior officer that I've known for a while, asking me to link up with him in a couple months when we're in the area, and ideally on the golf course. And the first thing that came to mind is I'm a terrible golfer. I actually bought a set of golf clubs a couple years ago when I was a young officer, because I knew officers like to golf and they do a lot of events at the golf course. And I have gone golfing, I've taken lessons, and I've participated in all that, but it always feels like when I'm on the golf course, I always feel like I'm out of my element. When I'm with friends and it's just a fun day, cool. In golfing, I enjoy it. But when I'm with a group of officers, especially if it's officers that I work with, I feel like I'm out of my element because I suck at golf. Sure, I enjoy it. It's a nice little pastime, but I am far from being anything that somebody would consider a golfer. So all these little things, right, that kind of fit the mold or the stereotype of what an officer is, sometimes I feel like I don't fit that mold. Like I'm not suited for this community of officership, which fueled the whole imposter syndrome, right? Now, the last 2 years, so we're in 2022 now, 2020 to 2022, in a lot of ways have been the best years of my life. Professionally, I feel like I'm at the top of my game. I've been promoted. I finished grad school, got a master's in education. I got remarried after a divorce and years of being single. Got remarried. 2 teenage kids now. But so that's kind of the positive side, right? But at the same time, the last 2 years have been extremely difficult in other ways. Yes, I got remarried, but with that comes new challenges that I didn't have in my first marriage. Now we have 2 kids. So my son from my first marriage and my wife's son from a previous relationship. That's been a challenge, trying to blend the families together. Issues that we have with our sons sometimes when they misbehave or maybe don't get the grades that we wish they would get and things like that. Work isn't always enjoyable. I still love being a Marine, but from time to time things happen at work, or maybe a decision that is made that I don't agree with or something that makes me question whether I want to stay in the Marine Corps, whether this is still for me. So there's been, things here and there that kind of lead to, I would say, bouts of depression and loneliness. Now, before I move on, I should say there's a lot of things that we go through that sometimes makes us feel depressed. One of those was my divorce. If you haven't seen the video, I'll link it somewhere up here. I made a video about kind of what I went through after my divorce. But what I want to say is, don't feel bad if you ever feel depressed or lonely, okay? Just because you feel depressed or lonely does not mean that you're this person who, is down at the bottom of the barrel. You can't move on. You can't live a happy life. I sincerely feel that that all of us can live a happy and productive life while still having moments of sadness or moments that are so sad that we legitimately feel depressed or lonely. I just think it's a part of life. I think, in my opinion, it's impossible to go through your entire life without ever feeling sad, depressed, lonely, anxious, any bad word you can think of. You have to feel that at some point in your life. I think a life fully lived, you're going to experience the full gamut of emotions. But I digress. So the last 2 years, I've had a lot of good stuff happen and a lot of bad stuff happen, all intertwined, mixed in together, right? So as I think about all that, again, I come back to the question, who am I to talk about the American dream? Who am I to tell you, hey, if you do this, you'll be happy. If you do that, you'll be happy. Because my life's not perfect. But that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm starting to learn, is that nobody's life is perfect. So on that note, I want to leave you with just 5, personal reflections that I take from all this. There's a lot more, but I'm going to give you just 5. The first one is, I can't tell you what the American dream is to you. That's why I call this channel Living Mad, living my American dream. I want to talk to you about my American dream, how I'm living my life, the good things that happen in my life, as well as the bad, because I feel like a lot of people, especially on social media, TV, we see all the glamorous things that people are doing, the vacations they go on, the beautiful spouse, the well-behaved straight A student, kids that they've got, like all these things, right? And we don't do a good enough job of showing the bad. And because of that, we got a distorted view of what the American dream is. So I'm not going to tell you what the American dream is to you. I want to share with you what the American dream is to me, how I'm living my American dream. So that's the first reflection that I want to leave you with, is you've got to find your own version of the American dream. What's important to you? What kind of life do you want to live? And as you get closer and closer to living that life, accepting that, yes, not everything's going to be perfect, but as you get closer and closer to living that life, I think you start to feel less and less of that imposter syndrome, because you start to feel more in your own center, like you're right where you belong. The second thing that I want to leave you with is, or the second reflection that I have is, my story has value. And I want to say this again, my story has value. And I'll say it again, not so much for you all, but for me, because I'm actually getting goosebumps just thinking about it, just talking about this. Because again, every time I go to make one of these videos, and I've only made a few, but every time I go to make one of these videos, I get filled with a little bit of anxiety, nervousness. Because again, who am I to say anything to anyone? But at the end of the day, I want to accept and I want to believe that my story has value. I want to believe that what I have to say matters to someone and that it can help someone. I know that with the billions of people that there are in this world, that there's other people out there who have shared my experiences. Now, some of them may not get this message because maybe they're in another country and speak another language. But even that just tells me there is so much possibility out there of people connecting in some way. And because of that, my story has value. I can provide something to this world that means something that to someone and connects with someone. The second thing is, or the third thing that I reflect on is that, no matter what I do, no matter what I say to some people, I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to be the great Marine, great leader, great officer, great husband, great father, great list goes on. To some people, that's going to be true. And that's okay. I have to accept that. I can't live my life trying to make everybody happy. I can't live my life trying to please everyone, make everyone think that I am this picture perfect person that has this picture perfect life, because that's not true. And if I try to emulate that, or if I try to put that out there and make it seem like, yes, I'm this awesome human being, then I'm going to experience even more feelings of imposter syndrome. Because I'm telling you, my life is great, when I know that there are things in my life that are not great, when I know that there are things in my life that I struggle with, that bring me pain. As many things that I have that bring me joy, I have probably just as many that bring me pain. So I have to accept that, and I have to accept that no matter what, to some people I'm never going to be good enough. And part of that is this at least from my side, right, as a man, part of that is this society's concept of being a man. If you haven't seen my videos, I'm going to make 1 or 2 videos. One was already uploaded about this concept of man, being a man. And I'll have another one about vulnerability. I'll link them up somewhere over here. So I encourage you guys to watch those. But regardless of what others think, I'm going to do me. Because again, the more me that I feel, the less imposter that I feel. The other thing that I keep having to remind myself is I have to reject the narrative that social media, television, Hollywood, and other people out there put out into the world. Whether it's the narrative of being a man, being a woman, being a Marine, being a leader, being an American, being a patriot, being a Democrat, being a Republican, being a liberal. All these narratives that are out there are false. And it's hard to accept that because we're bombarded day after day after day with what each little title or label or whatever you want to call it, all these things have a definition. But their definition is that they're putting out there to us, feeding to us, telling us this is how life is, this is how people are, this is what this is. But it's false. Because life is too complicated to be narrowed down to one simple little label, whether it's father, husband, Republican, Democrat, whatever you want to call it. Life is not that simple. So reject the narrative, accept that no one's life is perfect, and find your own definition for all these things. And the last thing that I reflect on, and I'll leave this for last because I think it's a very important one, when we talk about the American dream, when we talk about this imposter syndrome, is that I want to strive to be better. Maybe not every day. We hear that often, be better every day. And yes, that's great, but that's a lot of pressure. So I don't know, maybe every week, maybe every month, maybe every year, whatever metric you want to put it, but I want to strive to be better and better and better. Not perfect, and that's hard because for a long time I've been a perfectionist. And being a perfectionist has helped me tremendously with certain things. But it has also hurt me in other ways where, again, I feel this imposter syndrome because I don't achieve that perfection. So that's what I'm trying to do now is strive to be better, not perfect. As long as I continue to be better and better and better in my personal life, my professional life, in my belief system, my moral values, things like this, trying to share my concept and views on the world with you all. If I try to do these things and just do a little bit more each and every time, then I'm okay. I'll never be perfect, but I'll always be better. All right, guys. That's all I'm going to leave you with. A lot of stuff, I know. Hopefully you got something out of this. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe so you get notified when I upload the next video. See you in the next video, guys. Deuces.